Well, there is another angle to this story as well, with many people still raising questions about Indiana's so-called red flag law. This law is designed to prevent tragedies, just like the one at FedEx. The shooter's mother has previously told Fox 59 that she tried to alert police before this shooting.
He should have been red flagged. He needed help. Ultimately, that's not what we got, because you see the outcome, the horrific happening, awful.
Sheila Hull says officials ignored those red flags. Indiana was one of the first states in the country to adopt a red flag law after the death of this IMPD officer, Jake Laird.
Fox 59 State House reporter Kristen Eskow is joining us now in the studio to talk about the history of this law and also some of the questions that really have been raised in the past year about it.
A lot of questions, Dan and Baruchel. Indiana's red flag law was passed in 2005 and amended in 2019. After the shooting, some have argued the law is failing Hoosiers, while others say some have failed to apply the law.
I know the system failed. I know I failed. Or we wouldn't have this outcome.
Sheila Hull called police for help more than a year before the mass shooting at FedEx. In March 2020, she believed her son was going to kill himself.
This horrific happening is something that should have, could have been prevented.
IMPD took a shotgun from their home and it was never returned. Despite police filing paperwork, Marion County prosecutor Ryan Mears didn't pursue a court hearing under Indiana's red flag law. Last year, Mears cited several concerns, telling reporters the law didn't allow enough time to gather the evidence needed.
This case does illustrate some of the shortcomings that exist with this red flag law. Because we have 14 days, our ability to have access to meaningful medical history, meaningful mental health records is severely limited.
Mears and IMPD declined our requests for interviews on this story. Though every county is different, some other prosecutors feel the law hasn't posed any challenges for them.
Working very closely with the sheriff and with other law enforcement here, it's worked really well for us.
Brent Eaton is the prosecutor in nearby Hancock County.
There are times when we do have to seek records, and it might take a minute to get those things, but at the end of the day, the deadlines are there for a reason.
Obviously, hindsight is always 20/20, and clearly the prosecutor's office could have done more, should have done more.
Paul Helmke is the former president of the Brady Center to Prevent Gun Violence and the former mayor of Fort Wayne. He now teaches civics at Indiana University. He believes Indiana's red flag law is beneficial in some ways, though he points out background checks aren't required in Indiana for in-state private gun sales.
It's good at taking a gun away from someone who is perceived to be dangerous, but it's not as good in terms of stopping them from buying a gun.
Despite some people raising concerns about the law, the Indiana legislature didn't make any changes to the law this year.
There's nothing been presented to me that says the red flag law doesn't work.
Republican State Senator Aaron Freeman is a defense attorney and former deputy prosecutor. He argues the current red flag law is balanced for both prosecutors and defendants.
I think the law is pretty fair, it's pretty balanced, and works when properly applied and when pursued.
And now some lawmakers have talked about that issue. Now, meanwhile, they also passed permitless carry this year. Starting July 1st, most Hoosiers won't need a permit to carry a firearm outside the home. Now, the law still bans anyone who's mentally unfit from having a gun. Still, some law enforcement officers say without permits, it'll be hard for them to determine whether someone shouldn't have a gun in the first place.
You lose that information, you lose that vetting process by saying, hey, there's no reason for a permit. And so, it's just going to be, I think it's just going to be a challenge.
Now, I asked State Senator Freeman about that concern, and he hopes that can be addressed without a change in the law, but didn't rule out the possibility of a legislative fix if one is needed. Kristen Eskow, Fox 59 News.
All right, Kristen, thank you so much. Meantime, former Vice President and former Indiana Governor Mike Pence is telling Republican candidates to oppose red flag laws in the midterm elections. As part of his quote-unquote freedom agenda platform for GOP candidates, Pence writes, liberal versions of the laws are a threat to law-abiding citizens. The agenda also claims the laws could deny someone their Second Amendment rights. Now, as we mentioned, Indiana had one of the first red flag laws in the country, and in a visit to the state in 2019, then Vice President Pence called our state law a, quote, blueprint.
While we will always defend the right of Americans to keep and bear arms, we don't want people who are a danger to themselves or a danger to others to have access to firearms.
The former vice president has not commented on that policy since that agenda was released 2 weeks ago. Pierschel?